Peace. Apostle Cheryl Richardson here with Judas Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. Today we are going to be talking about healing from domestic violence. We're going to discuss the components that are necessary in order to perpetuate healing from a domestic violence situation. But before we get into our topic, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds. I want you to find that subscribe button. It's a red button down here, and tap that subscribe button. Make sure you click on the bell also so that you receive notifications of our weekly video uploads. Okay? And we are going to give you a couple of seconds to take care of that. During the video, do not forget to like and share and comment. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And we're going to get ready. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to subscribe and set up your notifications, and I will be right back. Hey, Apostle Cheryl back, and I am so appreciative of your taking the time to subscribe and set up your notifications. Okay, we're going to talk about the components that are necessary in order to perpetuate healing from a domestic violence situation. Now, these may not happen in the order in which we are going to discuss them, but they are all necessary in order to have a process that is healthy for the survivor. Okay, so many victims are gaslit, they are manipulated and emotionally battered to the extent that they come to believe that their behaviors, their actions, or something that they fail to do is a justifiable reason for the abuse that they have experienced. So they think that it's something that they've done or something that they have failed to do. Okay, what is needed in order for us to heal? So we're going to talk about the components that are necessary in order to heal from a domestic violence situation. Okay, number one is safety. It's a basic human need. Safety is paramount. Okay, so it's a need that we all have as human beings. The victim and his or her children, because anyone can be a victim and anyone can be an abuser. Okay, a man can be a victim, a man can be an abuser, a woman can be a victim, and a woman can be an abuser as well. But the primary thing is that they have to get to a place of safety. You cannot begin to heal if you are still immersed in a dangerous, potentially life-threatening set of circumstances, okay? So they need to be safe from psychological, physical, emotional, financial hardship and abuse in order to effectively begin the healing process. So number one is safety. Number two, a stable environment. Now, it may not be as nice of an environment as they are accustomed to, but the thing is, it has to be stable. It needs to be stable and not encouraging and exacerbating the insecurities that they are already experiencing due to what they've experienced in that relationship, okay? The nature of an abusive relationship is instability, it's inconsistency, it's a threat to your security and to your autonomy and to your ability to build and to move forward. And so you need safety, number one. You need a stable environment, number two, which represents security, which is also a basic human need. Now, another key component is unconditional support. Now, this may not come from where you would want it to come from. It may not come from your mother. It may not come from your father. It may not come from someone that you considered your best friend, okay? But we need unconditional support. And by that, I mean that you need support that's not judging you as they support you, okay? They're not critiquing you and they're not criticizing you, but they're undergirding you and encouraging you. Now, mind you, we're not talking about someone that's just telling you what you want to hear. We're saying that they unconditionally support you. They value you as a human being, and they want you to understand that you have value and that you do not deserve to be mistreated. So unconditional support. So far we have safety as number one, a stable environment, right, which may not be as comfortable as one that you've come out of from a physical standpoint in terms of affluence or finances, but you want it to be secure and you want it to be safe. And then unconditional support. So we've got what? Safety, stable environment, and unconditional support are the first three things. Now, what's next? The ability to share your experience. So once a survivor reaches a certain place in this process, they often have a desire or a longing to share what they've experienced so that it's something positive can come out of it, so that they can help someone else to avoid it, so that they can help someone else to know what to look for. And it also serves to strengthen and undergird them. One of the ways that we aid in this is that on our platform here, we will interview survivors who feel ready to share their stories. And we do a pre-interview first, and we talk to them about their experience. And using our clinical background, we determine together with the survivor if this is a good time for them to share. Would this benefit them or would it traumatize them further? Okay. And so once these other basic needs, once they have the unconditional support, and once they have a secure place, and once they aren't worried about their safety to the extent that they have to be when they are in an abusive relationship, they often now have time to kind of process their feelings and share their experience. Okay. And so increased insight and awareness regarding the extent of the abuse that they have endured is often an outcome because now they have time to process it. Okay. It's not at all unusual for a victim to begin to remember details that they have not focused on previously. Because in the cycle of abuse, things tend to escalate, right? They escalate. And so things that aren't as intense kind of fade to the background. But once you begin to heal, and once you're not dealing with a situation on a day-to-day basis that is life-threatening or batters you emotionally, you have time now to process those things and to recall some things that you pushed to the back of your mind because you were in survival mode at the time that they occurred. Okay, so what are some of the settings in which this healing can happen, in which a story can be shared? It can be shared on a platform like Judah's Roar. It can be shared in group therapy. It can be shared in a one-on-one therapy session. And so these are some avenues that are available to survivors. Okay. There's a point at which they come to the realization of just how much they have endured. Okay. And oftentimes it's like mind-boggling to a survivor to realize I just walked through all of that. I survived all of that. Okay. So over time, if they are able to process it in a healthy manner, then they are able to share their story with others. Okay. Um, when they're doing this from a clinical perspective, I would recommend that they work towards reviewing the facts and try not to minimize what they've experienced, try not to rationalize, assign some justifiable reason for why they were mistreated, because at the end of the day, there is no justification. Okay. And so you know that you're moving to a healthy place when you can just acknowledge how bad it was, and you don't have to explain it away. You don't have to justify it. Okay. Now, the last component, and this is really important, is that new boundaries are established. So as you come into your own and you regain your voice and you discover who you are and who you were intended to be all along, you can establish new boundaries in terms of what kind of behaviors you will accept in your space, what kind of behaviors you will accept in any relationship connected to you. Okay, so let's review those steps. Let's review those steps. Number one, we said the components were safety, a stable environment, right, which is a security need, unconditional support, and it doesn't have to come from who you think it should come from. So be open to where it comes from. Okay, don't be stuck on it coming from a specific person in your life because they may not be capable of providing the support that you need in an unconditional manner. Okay, the ability to share your experience, and to work towards reviewing what has happened from a factual perspective, resisting the urge to minimize or rationalize how you've been treated. understanding that it has nothing to do with what you've done or have failed to do, that there's no justification for you being treated unfairly or in an abusive manner. Okay. And then establish new boundaries. Now, let me just say, when we're talking about establishing new boundaries, it's going to be uncomfortable. And I think sometimes as therapists, we'll tell people set new boundaries, develop new coping skills, but we fail to warn you that it will be uncomfortable at first. You're probably not going to feel like doing a cartwheel as you establish these new boundaries because it means you using your newfound voice and letting people know in a clear manner. Okay, you don't have to be rude and obnoxious, but letting them know in a clear manner what is okay and what is not okay for in your life going forward. Now, some people may say to you, well, you let me treat you this way before. You allowed me to make jokes about you before. You allowed me to call you names before. And this is my recommendation. Okay, this is my recommendation. You don't have to get into a verbal dispute or a spat about what you've allowed to occur before. Acknowledge, yes, I did allow you to make fun of me before. Yes, I did allow you to disrespect me before. And I accept responsibility for that. But it's a new day. It's a new day. And I'm understanding my worth. And I'm no longer accepting that in my life. Because if you try to debate with them about if you did or didn't do it before, okay, now there's a deflection that has occurred and you're still not addressing the new boundary. So one more time, I'm going to go over this one more time. Okay, here are the things. Number one, there's nothing that you could have done or failed to do that would justify you being treated in a disrespectful manner in a relationship. There's no justification. There's no justification. Okay, so that's the first thing that we want you to know. What are the components that need to be present in order for us to heal? What are the components? And there's no set timeline because it takes however long it takes for us individually. And just like most things, listen, how we recover from an injury of any type, physical or emotional or psychological, has a lot to do with how damaged or wounded we were before we received this current injury. If you were in stable health, then the recovery time may not be as long. But if you were already broken, if you were already damaged, if you've already been mishandled and mistreated and maligned, then it may take you a little longer. But here's what I want you to know. You can get better. You have survived 100% of what the abuser has inflicted upon you, and you are still here. So you can do this. You just need support. And there is help out here. There's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. There's domesticshelters.org. There's our agency, Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. We have a blog, Judah's Roar. Okay. And so there's help out here. There's a closed Facebook group that we moderate, and it is called Dominion Over Domestic Violence, and it is a faith-based group. So there's support out here for you, and we are pulling for you, and we know you can do it. We know you can do it, okay? So once again, safety is needed. A stable environment is needed. Unconditional support from whomever is willing to provide it. Don't get stuck on where it comes from, okay? The ability to share your experience will be an indicator that you're really ready to work on things and to regain your voice. And the realization that there's nothing that you could have done or failed to do that would justify someone mistreating you. All right. Another indicator would be that you'll be able to work toward reviewing the facts, okay, without making excuses for the person who has treated you disrespectfully and who has been abusive towards you in an intimate partner relationship or in a friendship or even in a familial relationship, okay? Because domestic violence can occur between kids and parents, it can occur between partners, it can occur between siblings, okay? And so this applies to all of these different relationships. And then you want to establish new boundaries, okay? And you'll probably need help with that. And remember, I'm telling you, It will be uncomfortable at first because it's not something that you're accustomed to enforcing. You're not accustomed to it. And it'll feel awkward and it'll feel uncomfortable. But as it begins to take hold, you will begin to feel better and stronger and valued. Okay. And so I hope that this has been helpful to you. We've been talking about the components that are necessary in order to heal from domestic violence. We're talking about healing and recovery and moving forward and having a productive, peace filled life. This is Apostle Cheryl Richardson with Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications so that you receive a notice every time we upload a new video on Mondays. Blessings to you.